welcome. In this video, we are going to look at some review problems together. So we're just going to start off with some examples here. So we are solving these first ones, and then our goal is to get our variable by itself. Remember, we're using our inverse operations in reverse order. So you're going to think about what would you do if you knew the value and undo those things backwards using their inverse operations. All right, so if I knew x here, I would add 8, then divide by 2. So the last thing I would do would be divide by 2. So that's going to be the first thing I undo by using its inverse operation, multiplying by 2. Okay. Once we've done that, we're just going to simplify. 2 divided by 2 is 1. That's the whole reason we did that. X plus 8 is equal to negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Okay. Once we've done that, we are just going to continue on isolating the variable. So instead of adding 8, the inverse of that would be subtracting 8. So we'll get x equals negative 14. Always a great idea to check your answers. So we're going to practice doing that here too. Once you have it, you're just going to take your answer and plug it back in. So negative 14, we would add 8 and then take that divided by 2. We should get what the other side is equal to, which it was negative 3. So we got the correct answer. Okay, next one here, we have a proportion. So we're dividing both sides. Okay, options here, I can multiply both sides by 4 and both sides by 6. Or we could also find the least common denominator of 4 and 6 since they're just values, constants, and they don't have a variable. So if we find the least common multiple of 4 and 6, that's 12, right? 4 doesn't go into 6 evenly, but 2 6s is 12. 4 does go into 12 evenly. So we can multiply both sides of our equation by 12. And what that's going to look like is 12 times 4x minus 7 over 6 equals 12 times x plus 5 over 4. Remember that 12 is over 1, so we're not multiplying the denominators by anything. And the whole reason we do that is because 12 is divisible by 6. So 12 divided by 6 is 2, and 12 is divisible by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So now our new equation looks like this. 2 times 4x minus 7 is equal to 3 times x plus 5. Okay, distribute, multiply everything. We get 8x minus 14 equals 3x plus 15. Get your variables on one side by using your inverse operations. So subtract 3x. You could also subtract 8x. That's fine. Just make sure you're doing things on both sides of the equation. Keep equality. So we have 5x minus 14 equals 15. Add 14. Running out of space here. That's okay. 5x equals 29. Divide by 5. We get x equals 29 fifths. Yes, that is a perfectly acceptable answer. 29 is not divisible by 5. So we're going to leave it right there. Again, check your answer, see if it's correct. We're going to have to plug it into both sides here since we have variables on both sides. So 2 ways to do that. One, just think about your operations and do them in that order. So the first thing we would do here is 4 times x. So I'm going to take 4 times 29 fifths. Remember, to get 29 fifths, it's just 29 divided by 5. The next thing I would do here is subtract 7. The next thing I would do is divide by 6. Okay, 2.7 doesn't really tell us anything yet, but we're going to keep that in mind as we look at the other side. Your other option, rather than doing each operation individually, is to make sure you put parentheses where you need them. So remember, this fraction bar says do this subtraction first. So if I put my anything you're plugging in, put in parentheses 29 fifths plus 5, that's my numerator, divided by 4, that's my denominator. If you had more than one thing in your denominator, you'd also need to put that in parentheses. And we get the same thing, which means we got the correct answer. So let's move on to the next ones here. We're looking to see if we have one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. Okay? It says you don't have to solve here. All that means is you don't have to solve all the way. You need to get to a place where you can answer that question. So once you get to a place where you can recognize if you have one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions, then you can stop and just identify that as it. So anytime we have an equation, we want to simplify as much as we can. So here we get 7x plus 16 equals 16 plus 6x. Some of you might be able to tell right there we're going to have one solution. I have 7x and 6x, so I'm going to end up with x equals something If you're not comfortable there, just keep going until you get to the place where you are comfortable. X plus 16 equals 16. Some of us get a little scared here. This is totally fine. X can equal 0. That's a completely acceptable answer. Okay, that means there is one solution, which is actually what we were asked. So that should be our answer. Okay, again, first thing, just look on each side and simplify. 2x minus 5. 8x minus 6x is 2x. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 minus 1 is minus 5. Hopefully we're all okay right there. They look exactly the same on both sides. That means there's infinitely many solutions. Okay, again, simplify both sides. Here I get 3x minus 49. Here I get 3x minus 12 plus 1. 3x minus 49 equals 3x minus 11. Get your x's on the same side. Uh-oh, negative 49 equals negative 11. No, it does not. Never. No solution. So you can write no solution or you can write the empty set. Either way is fine. Okay. Okay, some more solving, but these are literal equations. All that means is that we have more than one variable. We're still going to do all the same operations. We're just going to end up with variables in our answer, which is totally fine. Okay, here it's important to know what variable you're trying to get by itself. It's that x there. So we're still going to use inverse operations, reverse order. If I knew what x was, I would multiply by 3 and then subtract this 2y. So the first thing we're going to undo is adding 2y. 10 plus 2y, can't put those together, so we can just leave it as 10 plus 2y. Okay, and then I'm still getting our x by itself, so divide by 3. We're going to divide this whole side by 3. And the nice thing about literal equations is you can leave it right here, right? 10 and 2 are not divisible by 3, so we can just leave our answer right there. Okay, second one here, we're still solving for x. Well, to get that by itself, again, think if I knew what these numbers were, I had a number plus a number over number, I would do that first. Add, then divide. So we're going to undo division. Now I have x plus y, right? 12 divided by 12 equals 12z. If you put z times 12, that's perfectly acceptable too. Trying to get x by itself, so subtract y. Not like terms, so x is equal to 12z minus y. Okay, those are our literal equations. Moving on, we now have some inequalities. So solving inequalities, we're going to look just like solving equations, except two things. One, if you multiply or divide by a negative, that means what you do both sides is negative. You need to flip your sign. And two, we're going to make a graph of our solution because it's not just one value, it's going to be a range of values. So first thing we're doing is distributing here because we want to simplify our side there. Make sure you take the negative with you. Nothing to simplify over here, so we're just going to leave that alone. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. Okay, add 4x to both sides. You could go the other way too. That's totally fine. Negative 7 is greater than or equal to 6x plus 5. Subtract 5. Negative 12 is greater than or equal to 6x. Okay, and then divide by 6. What we're dividing by is a positive, so I don't have to do anything with my sign. I get negative 2 is greater than or equal to x. Okay, if I want to graph this, I'm going to give myself a number line. Make sure I know where I'm at on my number line. And negative 2 is our breakpoint here. It's or equal to, so we're going to include it by coloring it in. And then the variable is smaller than that. So smaller numbers on our number line are to the left. Okay, here we have a compound inequality. So compound inequality, remember we just have 3 places we need to do everything. So if I am solving for x here, I'm going to add 5 in the middle here, but that means I also need to add 5, add 5. Okay, so we get negative 15 less than 3x less than or equal to 0. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Negative 5 less than x less than or equal to 0. Then our graph, since this is an and inequality, is just from -5 to 0, all of those points in between those. Right? You can be greater than -5 and less than 0 at the same time. We're going to have that bar. Number 10 here, we have an or inequality. So we're just going to solve each one individually. So I'm going to ignore the second one for you for a second. Just solve this first one. We're dividing by 3, so multiply by 3. X is less than or equal to -6. Okay, then I'm going to solve the second one. -1, -2x is less than -11. Divided by -2. Ooh, I'm dividing by negative, red flag. Flip your sign. X is greater than +11 halves. Okay, so for our graph here, you cannot be less than or equal to -6 and greater than 11 halves, which is what, 5.5 at the same time. So we're going to graph on our number line. Okay, putting some more labels in there is not a terrible idea, but we are less than or equal to -6. So we're here going to the left, or 5.5 is right here, greater than 5.5, going to the right. So that's an or. We can't be both, have to be one or the other. Okay, last but not least, we're looking at our absolute value equations. So step 1, get the absolute value by itself. That thing. Okay, so we're still using our inverse operations in reverse order. -2 x plus 4 equals -2. Divide by -2. X plus 4, absolute value equals 1. So that means x plus 4 could equal 1, or x plus 4 could equal -1. Subtract 4 from both sides. X could equal -3, or x could equal -5. Make sure you check your answers. So go back up to the top here and see if I plug in -3, -3 plus 4 is 1. 1, absolute value of 1 is 1. 1 times -2 is -2. -2 minus 3 is -5. Works fine. -5. -5 plus 4 is -1. Absolute value of -1 is 1. 1 times -2 is -2. -2 minus 3 is -5. So both of those solutions work fine. We have 2 answers to that absolute value equation. Okay, here, isolate your absolute value. Absolute value of x equals -3. Uh-oh, alarm, alarm. Absolute value cannot equal negative, so no solution. Okay, here, isolate your absolute value. +6, +6. Absolute value of x equals 9. That's perfectly fine. That just means x equals 9 or x equals -9. I don't have any additional solving I need to do there. Let's check and make sure that one works. If I plug 9 back in, absolute value of 9 is 9. 9 minus 6 is 3. Absolute value of -9 is 9. 9 minus 6 is 3. Woohoo! 2 solutions. That is all for our review video here. If you have questions on anything, feel free to go back and re-watch anything or ask questions in class. Thank you for watching.